Afternoon, everybody. Appreciate y'all being here. Just giving God the glory for 3-0 in this league, and whatever we are, 15-1, 16-1? 15. Again, just great ball game last night. Just appreciate our crowd, our students. I read on Twitter we got some students that are a little unhappy because they had to sit up top because there wasn't enough seats down low for them. So it's always a good problem to have. And again, I thought they were the difference last night for these kids. They really gutted it out against a really good Georgia team. And that's going to happen in this league. Every night is going to be like that, I really believe. And boy, these two, you know, we're spoiled. That's where we are. I mean, Teaira McCowan has 18 points, 21 rebounds. Got 27% of her opportunities to rebound. She got them. And, you know, we just, it's just come to be expected. And yet, she knows, I know, we can find areas that we need to work on, improve on, get better at. Jazz knows she can do the same thing. You know, Jazz banged up her foot last night early in the game and fought through it. And, you know, we just need to really come to appreciate the things that are going on right now in women's basketball. Have been going on. These kids continue to carry it on. But, you know, I got home last night and really had a hard time sleeping, and into the morning even just contemplating and reflecting. I'm real critical of myself. I'm critical of my team. They know that. We hold ourselves to a really high standard. And I've said this before in here, and I'll say it again. I've said it to them. You know, if we're not, whatever goal, if we don't attain the goals that we have set for us this year, it won't be skill set. You know, it'll be the intangibles that hold us back. That's how good this team can be, but that's also the battles that we fight every day with this group. And they're a special group, no question about it. And we're getting, you know, really good play out of a lot of different positions. Chloe steps up big last night and carries us early. Had a great game, gutted it out, 40 minutes. And Riel, 40 minutes. So, you know, this league is just a nightmare. I've said it many times. It's a nightmare of a league. People have seen her play for 4 years. They've seen her. They know where she is right now in her career and how well she's playing. And they have a game plan for it. And, you know, we have a game plan for other people as well. And you know what? Every night, it's whoever executes that game plan is going to have a chance to win. And last night you saw two teams that really were doing a good job in some things. And, you know, we found a way the last 5 minutes to really do a great job of locking down and end the game on a 15-3 run. And you know what? I'm gonna take that, and we're gonna move forward with that. We've got to get ready for Auburn. Everybody knows their style of play and how they attack you. And Coach Flo does a tremendous job with them, her and her staff. Those kids play a system like we do, but it's a different system, and it's very hard to go against a lot of times. And so we're going to need to go in there and take care of the ball, attack. We need to play well and find a way to win on the road. It's hard to win in this league, and it's really hard to win on the road. So we'll have good preparation. We've got an extra day this week, and so we'll have good preparation and be ready to go in there on Monday night on national TV again.
Starting back with Dan.
Coach, you said something the other day to the fact that if there's anybody playing better point guard in the country, I'd like to see it. What's Jazz doing right now that you like more than anything else, maybe?
You know, I think, again, she's not turning the ball over, running her team. She's picking and choosing her spots really well on when to attack and maybe in transition, and when to maybe pull it back and get us in something, or get us into something out of transition. I think she has a real good handle on what I want to be done, and I think that's the key to any point guard is understanding, you know, being on the same wavelength as your coach, and understanding what you got to do. You know, she's really competitive. You know, I think you got to have a competitive person at that position that wants to compete on both ends of the floor, play really hard, And she has her moments of where she's passionate too, and I wish she could, you know, wish almost sometimes she'd play with more. I know she's playing hard, but she can get pretty excited. When she gets excited and gets into what she's doing, I get pretty excited watching her because, you know, as y'all know, I can be that way myself. So I think she's just really doing an excellent job running our team right now.
We're going back.
Hey, Coach.
Hi.
The third quarter last night, Georgia, I think, shot 9 for 11, and that's what kind of got them back into that game. Do you chalk that up to good offense, or what are some of the things you saw that you maybe improved defensively?
Yeah, and it's no disrespect to Georgia, and again, I thought they were outstanding, but I just think that was, you know, we were just not very good. I think we weren't locked in. I think we're playing hope they miss defense, and whereas I think you watch that last 5 minutes and you see some kids locked in and in a stance and focused and creating problems, and that's who we are. And you know, again, I reflect on a lot of that. I reflect on playing time. Somebody may be tired. Should I need to find a little blow for them here or there? I can tell you, neither one of these two like coming out. But at the same time, last night when Jazz banged up her toe, you know, she had to come out. She asked me to come out, and that doesn't happen very often. So when that happens, I know she's got something going on. But yeah, the third quarter again, they were really good, and I just didn't think that we came out with the same. You know, we've been pretty good at coming out in the third quarter, punching first. Wasn't the case last night.
Adam?
Good afternoon for the players. I think we saw a little bit of that toughness against Marquette when they kind of burst out to like a 6 or I forget 7-point lead. And you guys kept coming back. Last night, kind of the same thing late, because Coach referenced that toughness and defensively and offensively. What do you think is about the knack that you guys have shown for rallying in situations against good teams? Do you consider it toughness, or just maybe flipping a switch, or how would you guys describe that?
I think that is us showing toughness because we're not, you know, letting their run get to us. So at the same time, it's like, okay, basketball's a game of runs, but it's not like, oh, we have to hurry up and jack it here and jack it there. And so we just work with the offense he's calling or Jazz is calling, and we just try to get the shot that's within the play.
I'm agreeing with what she says. Just us being poised, us knowing that basketball is a game of runs. Just getting a shot within our offense, and that's what he wants of us.
Vic, your bench has had some big games and some of the blowouts, but in these tight games, what can you get out of your bench? You know, more offensive production out of your bench.
Yeah, you know, I think Andy came in last night, gave us some good minutes, made a great pass in transition to Chloe. You know, Bree's given us some good minutes in some big ball games, not just in some blowouts, but some big ball games. You know, Coach, I've got a lot of confidence in the kid, you know, these seniors, and obviously Chloe's playing at a high level. I need my bench to play more. And, you know, but I'm really careful, especially with my young kids. I want to make sure that, you know, I put them in I don't put them in a position where they can fail, and I'm real protective of that. I was with you know, when Jazz was a freshman. Confidence is a really big thing. And, you know, I'm really protective of some of those kids in that I just don't want to put them in a position where they can't be successful and maybe get something in their head, and then it's like, oh my gosh, don't put me in, don't put me in, don't put me in. We can't do that. Or it's you know, they can't get out of their own way when they're in the game. You know, they've got to be able to function. My job is to get them ready so they can function in that environment. You know, that atmosphere last night's pretty intense, pretty high emotion, and you know, again, we talked about we had only 6,800 last night, and yet there's 330 schools across the country wish they could have that just once. But those kids have got to learn to, you know, function in that environment, and you can't be all tied up. And so I got to get them ready. You know, that's the challenge in coaching, and You know, we've had teams in the past where kids have maybe not played a lot early, but as the season wore on, they get better in practice, they earn their time, they develop confidence. I develop more confidence in them, and then they get in a game and they're able to function. So,
Stand with that.
For Teaira, the recent poll of WNBA coaches and GMs tabbed you as the #1 projected pick next year. Obviously, it's high praise, but where do you see yourself at this point in your game, and what are some things that you were looking to improve to that point?
I know I need to finish the first shot. You know, I can't miss that many times and I got to keep going back up, but I should stick back the first shot. And work on rebounding more, kicking out to my teammates.
Tyler?
Still for T. Georgia's coach last night, she said that coming into this game, you were their main focus, you know, trying to stop you on both ends of the floor. Do you feel like teams have sort of done that to you this year differently than they have in the past? Do you feel like when you step onto the floor, you know, this team's trying to key in on me and prevent me from getting what I usually get?
From being what I did last year, you know, I know that I'm going to get, you know, everyone's best shot. They're probably more than likely going to double or triple team me. And so just knowing that and having a mindset of, you know, not letting them limit me to what I can do and what I'm supposed to be doing is the biggest thing that I have to think about.
Jazz, the coach talked about you having a passion for the game. Where does that come from? Have you always had it through high school? And just, if not, when did you see that come about in your game?
I think that came about in high school. I don't know. Just like, I mean, I've been playing basketball for a long time, and I mean, just me being able to do something I love for a very long time, that means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family, so I mean, that's where the passion comes from.
And T, was it like that with point guard with that passion to play alongside you?
It's great, and Jazz is a great point guard. She runs our team. She gets people the ball, you know, where they need it, and, you know, she leads them to open shots. And so just having a point guard who can just come in and just dictate the whole team and just make sure everyone's doing their job and just holding them accountable.
Tyler? Start with that.
Coach, you mentioned not being able to sleep when you got home last night. Were you thinking about things that went wrong specifically in the Georgia game? And if so, what was that? Or is that just you thinking about what you can do to, you know, prevent situations like last night in the future?
well, again, I think what we all have to come to grips with is that our league has a lot of parity. And I think you're going to see games like that more often than not than last night. I think my being unable to sleep probably pertains to some other things, and just, you know, you want so badly for your kids. I mean, I want it so bad for them, and you know, probably more than they do. That's just the way it is. You know, and we've said this before. A good friend of mine, back when I was coaching at Arkansas in the late '90s, he's a great high school coach, and he said, "Hey, you know, you're always going to want it more than your kids. That's just the way it is." And I want it so bad for them. I want them to be so good. I want T to reach her full potential. I want Jazz to continue on her. I want my whole team to continue to be so dominant and so good. And yet, you have situations last night, just different things throughout the course of the game that you almost feel, you know, you can feel helpless with at times. And so just trying to you know, figure it out. I wasn't one as an assistant. When the game was over, I went to the bar and had a drink with all my friends and didn't worry about the game and said, well, I ain't the head coach, I ain't gonna worry about that. I wasn't that guy then, and I'm certainly not that person now. I want it badly for these kids. I want these seniors to reach their full potential. I want this program. I mean, this university has invested so much into women's basketball. It's important. So my conscience won't let me go home and go, give me a drink, let me, you know, watch TV. And my conscience just won't let me do that. I just have a real investment in these players and in this program, this university, that I can't do it. And so consequently, you're up at 4:15 and Chicago PD is blaring on the TV and you fell asleep, watching film in Sports Center. It's just the way it is. It's my life. I can't change it.
Chicago PD's a good show, by the way. The kids talked about boys, and obviously you talked about toughness, but the fact that you guys put yourself in that situation to have to rely on that toughness, is that part due to 8 or 9 of the kids essentially are really in their first year and a half in the system of actually being on the court and having an opportunity to contribute, or is that still trying to figure out which piece goes where and who's going to do what?
Yeah, I think it is some of the newness for a lot of the kids. We're heavy seniors, 4 or 5 seniors, virtually no junior class, a sophomore and a freshman class. And so, I think there's a disparity there. You think back 2 years ago, we had Blair, we had Rowe coming off the bench at guard, 2 juniors, that were pretty savvy. We've had some veterans that were a little older, and this group's just a little bit younger. So I do think that's part of it. But again, we're going to work really hard every day at getting those kids ready. We've got a red shirt sitting out that we need to be working really hard so that she's ready to step in when her number's called. And we've got to do things the right way. I think that's the biggest thing I'd like to see us do is to continue to grow as young people, and just to really appreciate doing things the right way.
Go to that.
Hey, Vic, when you look at, no loss is ever good, but the loss at Oregon, ever since then, it seems like the team's locked in a little bit more, on both sides of the ball. With all the new pieces that are in bigger roles this year, do you look maybe back on that as maybe that was maybe a turning point that your team maybe was like, we've got to lock in a little bit more?
Maybe. We didn't. Last night to me was a little bit of a, I wouldn't say setback, but again, I just have so much respect for the league. I think you got to respect your opponent and know that, they came in here and teams are going to do that. They're going to play well. We're going to go against some really good teams and have some knockdown dragouts. And so, last year was just different, y'all. To average victory margin of 24 points just doesn't happen at any level in any sport. And to do it in the Southeastern Conference with last year's team, it's crazy. Those numbers are off the chart. So again, I think we're spoiled around here a little bit, and it's just not going to happen that way. So I do. The thing about the Oregon game, last night we answered when it got tight. We answered and we closed the game on a 15-3 run. At Oregon, we didn't. We didn't respond in a real good way, and that's what was concerning about that night. We responded though the next night when we went to Washington and answered in an emphatic way. That's how you want your team to respond. Last night it didn't take us another game. We didn't wait till Auburn to respond. We responded with about 6 minutes to go, and that's what you want to see.
Got time for one or two more.
To build off of that, and being I'll call you a perfectionist, I think that's safe to say. What you just said, are those signs of growth? Because the way that you've commented, and I know sometimes you do the Lou Holtz and the glass is half empty rather than half full. Are those signs of growth that you just talked about? Not waiting until the Auburn game, waiting until 6 minutes left, not waiting, but reacting with 6 minutes left to make that stand? Because they kind of do and they kind of don't seem like signs of growth.
Yeah, I mean, it maybe, I think, is the answer. I mean, look, I had the same conversation with them at the 6 minute mark that I had, to start at halftime, start in the third quarter, in the middle of the third quarter to 5 minute media. Sometimes it just finally clicks. That's all I can say. That's the only answer I have. But I will say this, that when we finished on the 15-3 run, we got out of the press. We moved Andriel over to the corner, and things opened up and were a little bit more successful for us. But T got some really big rebounds. She had a big rebound and big stick back in that run. Jazz had a big, I went back and looked at it, was watching it last night. That runner she had in the lane, I don't know how she made that. And, you know, tough shot at a big point in the game. I think that put us up 4 or maybe 6. But it was, shoot, it was a tough shot. And again, T's got 2-3 people hanging on her for the rebound and the shot. And so, big shots, big plays by your best, you know, by your big players. And that's what you want. You want that from them. And again, these kids are, they care. They want to win. They play pretty hard most of the time. When they don't, they know I'll hold them accountable. That's just part of it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.